All right, so the second predictor is the helpfulness of the selection process and the mitigation of pressure to modify priorities. You told me that empathy that you practice is not just around how I feel about this process, but it's also recognizing that this is essentially a transaction. What I want with you is a successful transaction. Tell me about that.
Part of what I think empathy means, walking in someone else's shoes, is remembering that it wasn't just someone to want to be my friend was what I was looking for. I really was looking for resources. And to the extent that I could understand that, that was what I really wanted to know. Can this work? Can it not work? If there's a way that I should be thinking about my work differently, maybe you could help me do that, hopefully without causing me to as we talked about, shoehorning it in, but in a way that actually, kind of responds to how clear my thinking is on the proposal. I try to, in terms of empathy, I think, I try to remember that one of the things that I looked for and one of the things that I hoped for was just kind of an honest relationship. Let's just talk about what you really think about what I'm doing. Try to be a real person so that you can have a feel for me and hopefully you're saying, well, at least if I understand that where you are and I get a sense for your personality and how you work, I'll be more likely to be comfortable myself, and we can have an actual dialogue. If you give me a critique and I can see it, it's not so kind of around the corner that I'm not quite sure if you're actually criticizing me. But if you give me a criticism that I can actually see, then I can defend it, and I can say whether or not you're off base rather than wondering whether that's what you're actually saying. So the core part of it to me is really kind of an honest interaction, and then letting it be what it is, from there.
Well, so the third predictor is expertise, understanding of fields and communities. And you told me that as a former practitioner, you actually come to conversations with a point of view about how things should be done. So you've got the money, you got a point of view. How does that not equal the type of power imbalance that program officers get slammed for? How do we negotiate that in a way that's really helpful?
Well, I think what I was trying to convey was I come with a point of view, hopefully in areas that I have experience in. There's a lot of things I don't have experience in, so I don't come with a point of view on those things. But on let's say, on a particular area, I might have a point of view. And in those areas, I do try to say, let me have a conversation with you about what you're posing here. Either one that I think this is great for these other reasons, or I have some questions about this. And based upon this experience here, this is why I'm asking this question, based upon this. Hopefully then at least, what I found is in some cases, when you push a little bit there, you're kind of becoming a little more visible in terms of what your perspectives are. They're more able to be critiqued, because I think they're there anyway. So at least my hope is not that by saying that this wins the day, that I'm definitely right, but at least by telling you this is where I'm coming from, this is what my bias is, my perspective on this in areas that I actually have one, you can respond to it. You're not going to respond to it crazy. You're not going to respond to it as though I don't work for the Heinz Endowments. You're not going to respond to it as though we're just sitting out on getting the bus. But you will, I think, respond to it if you think it's going to inhibit this transaction. If you see this is leading to the way my thinking that could affect the transaction, I think that's where you're going to engage. And I think you have to remember, and that's why you try to raise these around, I think, not just to have kind of an intellectual conversation all over the map, but where it's going to affect the transaction decision. I do think it's helpful to say to the person, this is where I'm coming from on this issue here. So that's what I would say there. I don't think, there's other things I don't have a point of view on, and I think you're right that you can, the danger is that you could start to wield that, carelessly. Our president here, I think, is careful to talk about his prior experience for the reason of just kind of saying, as though this should win today's conversation. And I think you do have to be careful about that. So it's kind of a balanced piece. But the reason why I bring it up, or if I have a point of view, in some cases just so that the person can say, well, let me address that then.